I've got two examples here of quadratic trinomials where a is not equal to 1. So far in the problems we've done, everything's been just plain old x squared there, 1x squared. Here we have a number in front of our a. The good news about these problems, and the reason this process is so awesome, it doesn't change at all. You do the exact same thing you were doing before, which is kind of nice. So, step 1, you look for a GCF, something that goes into this, this, and this. And as it turns out, there is no GCF. So we can move on to our next step, which says we need to get our magic numbers ready to go. We need two things that add to 13, and they need to multiply to a times c. Everything we've done so far has just been 1 times this, so it's always just been this number. The biggest mistake I'll see kids make is they'll just multiply it to this, so -5. You have to remember, like it's always been, it's got to be a times c. 6 times -5 is -30. Again, this is the main difference here. The only thing, it's not a difference, it's just something you'll forget. That number right there at the bottom that multiplies to, you have to do a times c. So you're going to run through different possibilities here. You're going to try different numbers. If they have to multiply to a negative, that means one of the numbers has to be positive, one of them has to be negative. And you'll run through different possibilities here. One that you may think is like 10 and 3 is something that kids might mistakenly try. But those add to 13, those multiply to a positive 30. So you play around with the numbers, and it turns out that 15 and -2 are our magic numbers here. So with that being said, we're going to rewrite our problem just like before. Plus 15x minus 2x minus 5. And if you had written the problem the other way around, that's totally fine. It'll end up with the same answer, although your steps along the way will be different. So I need to look at what goes into the first two here. And there's a 3 that goes into both, as well as an x. So I'm going to take a 3x out on this one. And when I do that, I have 2x on this guy and plus 5 over here. And on my second guy, there's nothing that goes into both of those. There's no GCF greater than a 1, so we're going to actually take out a 1. If nothing they have in common, you have to actually put a 1 out in front for it to work. Now, I'm going to take out a -1 though, because we do have a negative sign there. So I'll put a -1, and I'm going to get 2x plus 5 when I do that. Again, the parentheses match, which is good news. We did it right. Our answer is 3x minus 1 times 2x plus 5. It's great because it's pretty much the same process we were doing before. One more problem. Magic numbers here. We need to add to -11, add to b, and multiply to a times c. 2 times 12 is 24. So if our numbers have to multiply to a positive and add to a negative, the only way that's going to happen is if both of our numbers are negative. If they were positives, you're not going to get a -11 when you add them. So it turns out my numbers here are -3 and -8. Once I have my numbers in place, I'm going to go ahead and split up my problem. 12x squared minus 3x minus 8x plus 2. And I'm going to do my process now. I can take a 3x out of this, and when I do, I have 4x, -3x divided by 3x is just -1. And on these, I can take out a 2. I'm going to make it a -2 because of my variable there. And I'm going to get 4x minus 1 here. My final answer, 3x minus 2 times 4x minus 1.